is Rosa, and you're watching Rosa Laura. This is my very first commentary speed paint. I've uploaded several speed paints to YouTube before, but I've never been brave enough to put my voice out there and to have that on record. So please give me grace as I figure this all out. My first piece today is I'm working on a character / sona named Quib. My friend Quinty, who does streaming on Twitch and is an amazing artist in their own right. This is like their little sona that they use for their YouTube. I'll be sure to put everybody who I mentioned, their links and socials will be down in the description of this video, just so you know. But I'm going to be working on a bunch of different pieces over the course of this video, and the first one is them, or their sona rather. That's their reference over to the left. And now I'm going to be working on a character named Falfasso. Falfasso is a changeling. She's played by my friend Mango. And Falfasso is a member of the Chains of Fortune crew. It is a D&D campaign that I get to play in. I play a Fey-touched ranger named Naf. Falfasso is a wizard, a changeling wizard as mentioned. She is super into bugs and little creatures. She specializes in conjuration. So she's always making little nasties, little ghoulies, little buggies that love to crawl around. I love bugs, personally. I love that they're outside. But, you know, if there's a spider in my house or some other creepy crawly, I always try to take it outside, and I think that Falfasso would appreciate that. I'm going to take a little bit more time on this piece. So I have a couple of different styles that I really like to indulge, and the style of this particular piece is, I guess, what I would call a lineless render, in which I do a sketch, and then I'll put the flat colors underneath. Then I'll do like some shading. I usually make the sketch layer an overlay, and then I merge everything down. And then I start using my oil brushes, and this is all in Clip Studio Paint, by the way. I use ESP. And I start to fully render out the piece, and by the end, try to eliminate any of those lines that were left from before. Granted that I've been able to get the right kind of like texture and feel that I want. Sometimes I do lined pieces. I love both the advantages and disadvantages of both art styles. And also you'll see me do several chibis over the course of this speed paint as well. But this is definitely the kind of art that I do that takes the most time. Also, thank you Clip Studio Paint. Thank you people who make leaf brushes. I love layering them so much. The overlay and gradient tools are my best friends, and you cannot take them from me. But Falfasso is an amazing character. I really love how she's shaped up in the campaign, and I can't wait for more chains. So I really enjoyed making this piece for an event with my friends called Artfest. And Artfest is like Artfight, if you know what Artfight is, which is where two teams of artists get together and attack, big air quotes, each other by making art of each other's characters. And this character is Doc. He is my friend Elo's Lancer pilot. He seems like a super sweet guy. He has a pet goat, which I love. And he's like a little freedom fighter. I love Lancer. It's another great system that I always jump at the chance to play in. The combats are super fun, and I'll be honest, I'm not a combat girly a lot of the time. I'm super RP focused, but Lancer's system is super fantastic, and Doc is a great character. Earlier, I drew Quinn Sona, and this is my friend Faye's kind of like Sona / OC. And she's like this little fairy, but it's also like in space, so we have sort of like some Jupiter inspired like clouds and these beautiful wings, and I had a great time sort of adapting this little sona into my own little chibi style. I love characters that have any kind of like stars in their design. I love sparkles. And I love things that are space themed too, so it's not a surprise to me that I totally went for drawing her. And Artfest has been super fun. It's just a chance, maybe more of an excuse than anything else, for me to draw my friends' OCs, and it's always really exciting to get art as well, because it's like Christmas kind of every day. You like wake up and you're like, oh, what's going on? Who drew what? And Artfight is very much the same. This lovely man, who I'm drawing right now, is Maxim, who's also from the Chains of Fortune campaign. He is a Dragonborn pugilist. He is a bronze Dragonborn. He's a problem, but I think that we all have really warmed up to Maxim, and I think that he's really warmed up to us, even though he's still a bit of a doofus. I don't know why I drew him so small. I edited out this cut, but like, Maxim is on like 1/10 of the canvas, whereas everybody else is a normal size. So I don't know why I did Maxim dirty like that. I'm sorry, Maxim. I will do it better next time, I promise. And this next piece is of Lekalis. Lekalis is from the Lancer campaign that I'm in. Please don't mind that I just had to move his arm. I had to separate it from his body for a moment. But Lekalis is a Lancer pilot. He has piloted a Morning Cloak for the longest time, but I think that his player's strider is going to switch over to a Swallowtail. Might be doing that. But Lekalis has always been very closely associated with Hermes, the messenger god, and so I wanted to give him a letter for him to hold, but also I constantly think of Sebastian as kind of like, oh my gosh, Sebastian. Lekalis is kind of like Saint Sebastian, which is why I messed that up there. If you know the famous paintings where Saint Sebastian's being, shot through with arrows, his martyrdom moment, that's what I wanted to kind of like recreate here. I wanted it to be a very moody piece. I wanted it to be kind of like divine, but also kind of like a statue, very beautiful, and a really fun piece to work on. Another Lancer character here is Mallory. She's super cool. I actually am not in Mal's campaign, but my partner plays them. And so I wanted to make sure, during Artfest where we draw, me and my friends, each other's characters, he participates in that, so it's just an excuse for me to draw his characters too. And it's kind of interesting in that, throughout this Speedpaint, I will be referencing other pictures of characters, but Mal is one of the characters where it's like I'm referencing my own art. And it's been long enough that I'm like, oh, like I forgot that I did that. And that can be a really fun experience when you're working on current art and you look back at the art that you've done and you can see both where you feel that you've fallen short and also where you're like, oh yeah, I really did a good job with that. For example, in the old art of Mal, I really like his face shape. I really think that it looks nice. It's very unique. And I tried to capture that again in this piece. Mal obviously has a lot of prosthetic limbs, including an extra one on their back for, super machining, because we all could use an extra hand. And it was really fun to kind of put in sort of these bounce lights and catch lights that you'll see over the metal here in a moment. Didn't really want to do a full render on this piece, but I really liked the way that she turned out anyway. So, confession. I know nothing about Final Fantasy, but a lot of my friends love Final Fantasy. This is my friend Naren's character, Jet, I think is how I say his name, Zhed, and all I know is that he has Justin Timberlake frosted tips and that he's a fuckboy, so I wanted to really channel his fuckboyness into his picture. Final Fantasy clothing is so interesting. it doesn't really make sense when you get too close to it, but I wanted to like get across like the feeling of it. I think that Final Fantasy clothing has a real mood to it. It definitely knows what it wants to do. It wants to really look cool. I've just had a really hard time in the past translating it. Maybe that's my fault. I don't know. Maybe someone can comment and tell me, you know, how they draw Final Fantasy clothing. Does it make sense for you? It does not make sense for me. But hey, this is all about making fun art for my friends. If I have to draw the non-Euclidean Final Fantasy clothing, I totally will. This is another one of my friend Quinn's characters. This is Imlyth. She's a little vampire. And I wanted to do something a little saucy, something a little suggestive. And something about the chibis that I do is you have to keep their heads from getting too square. I've noticed that on top, their hair starts to get weirdly square, so I've tried to avoid that here, but I don't know how successful I was. I oftentimes have to change the background colors as I work on, you know, like coloring in pieces so that I can actually differentiate where I've colored things in and where I haven't. But I also try to let it like really reflect sort of like the mood of the piece. I oftentimes will kind of merge things back with the background when I'm doing full renders, and really let it kind of like mingle in with those colors. Not as much here, as this is a, you know, just a little blind chibi, but it's something that I do take into account. This is another one of Falfasso, actually. So you saw Falfasso earlier in sort of like that full render, and I know what you're thinking. This doesn't look like the same character, and you know, Falfasso's a changeling, so she can look like whatever she wants. This particular outfit was designed by my friend Mango, who, you know, plays Falfasso, and I really liked the design of this, like this butterfly little skirt going on with the little spider web at the bottom, and I just thought it was so cute and I really wanted to draw it. And so I was like, I don't care that I've already drawn Falfasso once for Artfest, I want to do it again. And so I listened to my heart, and I think honestly she's my favorite piece that I did this year. I just love how cute she looks. I'm such a sucker for it, and honestly, who can blame me? And this is my final piece for this Artfest. This is Rats. Rats is played by my friend Strider, who also plays Lekalis, and Rats is from a Blades in the Dark campaign. For those who don't know, Blades in the Dark is a system where you play a scoundrel in the, you know, doomed, apocalyptic, terrible, run-down, beat-you-up world of Dustfall. And Rats is a archetype, a playbook known as a spider, but like she's like a secret cruiser. I love them. And they have, you know, they are a Tikarosi, which is kind of like the Blades in the Dark version of tieflings, if you want to make the comparison. Their skin is specifically kind of like cracked like stone or crystal, which I think is really cool. And I love drawing them. And of course, oh my gosh, I almost forgot about Cheila. So Cheila was a character who was completely new to me for Artfest, made by my friend Faye. Again, I'll try to link everybody's socials down in the description. But I had never drawn this character before. I loved how dignified she looked. Just like I love the colors, the color palette with the lights and the darks. The cool like black sclera, super neat. And then the sort of like the contrast between like the very tight pants, the sort of flowing top, and then this little cape, this little whatnot that she has going on. Awesome. I had a lot of fun doing everybody's art for Artfest this year. I'm probably going to be running through sort of like the completed pieces so you can take another look, because I didn't really pause between each, so you could take a closer look at just like, hey, this is what they looked like when they were fully done. So I hope that you enjoy that. thanks for joining me today for this speed paint. I hope that you had a nice time and that you had some fun. A YouTuber who I used to watch, Neuralities, always used to end off her videos this way, and it always really made me feel comforted, so I hope that she doesn't mind that I'd like to borrow it for the end of my videos as well, because it always made me feel good, and I hope that you do too. So, this is Rosa signing off, and I just want to tell you, everything's gonna be